Shalom and welcome to the Renaissance Women's Show. Today I'm going to pick back up on our leadership series, and the title of this discussion is Friends or Frenemies? Frenemies. Know the difference. Your coworkers are not your friends. And so we are working on the leadership series here. We've been identifying a toxic work environment. And one of the key elements that goes into this is knowing who your friends are and definitely knowing who your enemies are. And I know when you go to work, you don't want to think of anybody being at work as your enemy, but I think that is a reality that a lot of us have to face in today's workplace. And YouTube is kind of a microcosm of that, right? Some of you all tuned in last week when I had Nylah Vibes on, and we talked about navigating a toxic work environment on social media and what that looks like, and how I saw so many parallels to this, to the social media space in the actual workplace. And so we're just going to talk about it. And so I decided to do this part and give you the top 10 reasons why your coworkers are not your friends. And we're going to go just through this real quickly. I'm not going to take up a lot of time because tomorrow, hopefully, I will go ahead and finish up the first part of the series in how to identify a toxic work environment, identifying a toxic boss, and toxic coworkers. And some of this you'll see will tie into that. You'll recognize a lot of these behaviors because this is what you see in a toxic work environment. So the reason number one, they're performing, not connecting. In a workplace, people show up with a mask. They're performing a role, sometimes for survival, sometimes for strategy. They smile at the coffee machine. That doesn't mean they're safe. It means they're pleasant. Don't confuse proximity with intimacy. And I think we do that a lot. Just because someone shows up and they're smiling, that doesn't mean that they're your friend. Let me drop hey there, Nylah. Let me drop this link down here. You're definitely welcome to come up and talk about this with me. So just because somebody, my grandmother used to say all the time that, how things were in the church, everybody shouting is not happy. Just because someone is being polite and they're making small talk with you, it doesn't mean they're your friend. And when you show up at a new job, a lot of times you are open, you're friendly, and you just say, "Oh my gosh, these people are so nice." And before you know it, you're oversharing. And I would just say, keep your personal life personal and have boundaries when you're at work, because everybody that's smiling is not happy. And most people, they're wearing a mask at work, or they're wearing a mask of professionalism. And I have a coworker who says all the time that I am a totally different person when I'm not at work because, hey, I'm here for business. And he plainly says all the time, I don't come here for friends. Number two, they're gathering intel. They are shamelessly nosy, and they have no problem prying into your business, asking questions like, are you married? Do you have kids? What do you do on the weekends? That's not small talk, that's data collection. And toxic work environments, that data becomes gossip, manipulation, and even HR ammunition. So protect your story. It's sacred. When if you start having issues with it and want to report that you are in a toxic work environment, guess what? Everything that you share with your coworkers, all those little things about what you're doing on the weekend, all the things that you're just talking about just for fun, that becomes cannon fodder for the other side. Hey, Nylah, welcome to the show.
Hello, Ren. Thanks for having me, my dear.
Thanks for coming up and joining me. I always like to talk to someone when I'm having these type of discussions to have some, just some feedback. And I think, what do you think about these first two reasons why your coworkers are not your friends?
I love what you were just saying. I love this. They're gathering intel because,
Yeah,
that is the only reason why you ask all those personal questions. That is the only reason.
yeah, they want to know everything that you're willing to share, and even will say, "Well, you never share with us. Do you have siblings? Like, what difference does it make?" And most of us are not rude. You'll genuinely share. Yeah, I have a sister and a brother, but people have to tend to ask me those kind of questions. I don't volunteer information at work, and sometimes depending on who it is or where I'm at, I just don't give it. Because there's a limit to everything. You start to wonder, well, why are you asking?
Well, I think
Or
if you have to ask yourself why, then you pretty much know that that person is just prying, because like if it makes you feel any sort of like discomfort, like first of all, like when they ask the question, if you're thinking first of all, then that's the first red flag, right? Because like
yeah,
what is the point? Why are you asking me this? And people like that tend to lack boundaries because you just don't go asking people personal questions. So
exactly.
why do you need, you know what I'm saying? So as soon as you get that personal lack of boundary question where they basically put you in a position where you got to be almost rude or kind of evasive, go ahead and it's not rude to put up boundaries first of all, but I would just be really fine with that. Why do you want to know?
I took a note from my husband when he was telling me about a coworker asking him about his personal business at work, and he said, "I just tell them I don't talk about my family." And you
Hmm.
just leave it at that. And I think that's a great response. And even on social media, people will come and just start asking you, even in your chat. I noticed that people will just come in your chat and just start asking you questions. Where do you work? What do you do? Do you have any kids? Are you married? Just been, especially if you're visiting other chat rooms, people just start asking you questions. And you really, like you just said, Nyla, you do need to ask yourself, why is this person asking me
I know I had
that?
that experience one day in my chat room. Someone randomly, Granny was talking, and then the next day, how old is your grandmother? Why? And that may seem like a harmless question, but it's like, what? Like, why?
Yeah,
Why are
and
you?
one thing we've learned on here, there's no such thing as a harmless question, because what we've come to find is that they are in the background creating a narrative.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
you would not believe it, but that is actually what people are doing, and I call them crumb snatchers. That because that's what they're doing. They're in the background gathering these little crumbs up so they can put them all together until they get a whole piece of cake.
I remember they found one of my business IGs, and it was where my daughter was sitting at the front desk and sitting at the cash register with the bundles of hair and stuff like that. And they put the picture up and they was like, this is her pretending to empower her daughter and give her a job. Like, how do you make that up?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you make that
Mhm. So these are, and listen, this might sound like paranoia. It's not being paranoid, especially in today's society. These are tools that are going to help you keep your peace, maintain your peace, because once you put that information out there, there's no take back seat.
up? Mm-mm.
Not on social media and not in the workplace,
Mm-mm.
because those stories that you think that you're just telling, when people get mad at you, they get weaponized. So
Yep.
reason number three, you're a piece in their office politics. Coworkers who smile in your face but forward your emails behind your back. They're not a friend, you're a pawn. And when the game shifts, so does their loyalty. To people like this, you're just a useful idiot.
Yep.
Especially if you're new. You don't know the office politics. You don't know what's going on. Just like when we came to YouTube, we didn't know all the players on the board. We didn't know what was going on, and you show up like that at work. This applies anywhere. If you
Right.
don't know the game you're playing, you end up being a useful idiot.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's really worth you to take the time and try the spirit, get to know these people, and get to see what's really going on here. Because when you go to a workspace, you better believe that there are different factions and groups. And I did not realize that in one particular place I was working, that I had literally stepped into a Game of Thrones type of territory where they are
Wow.
literally just trying to oust each other.
Wow. See.
So, and people on social media have that mentality as well. I need to knock them down. They're getting too popular. They're doing too well.
Yeah. I've literally heard someone say about me one time that somebody needed to humble me.
Wow.
She needs to be brought down a notch.
That's crazy. And so
Mm.
you see, being an audience member, you just wandering aimlessly into chats, volunteering information. and telling things because you're a Patreon and you're going in chat sharing information. Well, you just become a useful idiot.
Yep.
So, watch where you're running your mouth.
Yep.
Number 4, they don't know your values. Just because you share a cubicle doesn't mean you share convictions. You might be fasting and praying. They're plotting and gossiping. Friendships require spiritual alignment, not just shared lunch breaks. Okay, you gotta have, because if you've noticed, your solid relationships, your real core values are in alignment with the people you truly connect with.
Yep.
But again, that proximity, whether it's virtual or in reality, can make it seem like there's an intimacy there between you that does not exist, that there's some type of fealty there that does not exist. They don't have any loyalty to you. And
Nope.
as soon as you turn your back, they're gossiping and whispering about you behind your back.
Yep.
Which goes to reason number 5, they talk about you when you're not around. If they gossip with you, they'll gossip about you, period. And if your name is in their mouth more than their own goals, that's not a friendship. That's a fixation. And I will even say that about some YouTubers. If every time I look up, you're talking about me more than you're talking about your own content, you might just be a little bit fixated, honey.
A
Go
little.
find
Just a little.
business. Huh?
Hi, Nola 504. Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit obsessed, a little bit crazy, and you're going to see this at work a lot. And I do have a friend that I'm going to have come up and interview, and so she can share her experience, because she literally, if you ever saw that movie Single White Female, well, she had the work edition of that ran on her, whereas the Coworkers literally was seeking and did replace her. Hey Nola, that happens. Like, you literally, and you would not have been able to tell her that this woman was not her best friend. She let this woman take her kids out and all types of things. Your job can give you the impression that you are in a family type of relationship. And your employer wants that. As a matter of fact, they'll encourage that. That's why they have potlucks. That's why they want you to have game days, picnic days. They want you to have all these things that at the end of the year, that's kind of like, Christmas parties. You do Christmas, you do Thanksgiving, you do Easter, you do all these celebrations at work, just like you do at your family, with your family. So it creates, for those of you who celebrate these pagan holidays, but anyway, you get to my point. It creates the idea that you have a family at work, a family away from your family. And it's very misleading, because when things go south, all those things that you do at work, all the stories that you share, those things get weaponized. Somebody literally is keeping a little, and this is something that I watched play out firsthand. I didn't realize it. Literally keeping a journal on you. Because one thing that happens when people see that there's just something about you. You have something about you and they can tell you're going to grow. Well, a lot of times they try to do everything they can to stop you. And here we go. Reason number 6, they're competing with you. The haters have arrived. Some coworkers see your excellence as a threat. Your promotion, your peace, your presence, it bothers them. And instead of celebrating you, they are strategizing against you. You literally watch that play out with Nylah right here on social media. This happens to you at work. If you are a rising star, people see it, they know it, and you are going to have some who are just natural born haters, and they hate to see you coming. And you gotta go. Now what you got?
You gotta go. You gotta go. They like, and they don't even hide it.
Mm-mm.
They don't even hide it. I'll never forget that lady talking about, I'm gonna make it to, so whenever somebody Googles your name, they don't see what you do, they see what I say about you.
And that's amazing right there. Now that goes again back to a fixation where
Oh wait, and she said specifically, so you won't get any new sponsors.
wow.
Hmm.
And that's some long term planning right there.
Yes,
I
it
like
is.
understand what it takes for you to even get an algorithm going to about another content creator to create that kind of havoc for them.
Mm-hmm.
It says something about the amount of jealousy that people have for you, and you don't even realize that they're harboring this type of animosity because they showed up as a goodwill ambassador. They showed up.
Yep.
I just want to be a Viber,
Yep.
you
Not
know.
a goodwill ambassador.
But isn't that how they show up? Like, hey, I'm just here with
Mhm.
candies and nuts, and I just want to be your friend, you know. But it's like Chucky until the end when they can do the end of your career. They want to destroy you. They want you out of there. They want you out of this organization. They don't want to see you grow. They don't want to see you promoted. They want you gone, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure that happens. And that goes into number 7. They can't handle your elevation. They're constantly seeking to undermine you. You'll have them on. You'll be doing a meeting, giving a presentation. Oh, the projector doesn't work. Oh, you know what? I forgot the slide. There's something. Oh, I forgot. They just forget to do these things that were important to your presentation, to your meeting. On your show, you're interviewing people. They keep interrupting. They won't shut up. They just mess up the whole stream.
Girl. Or they try to co-host when they're not supposed to be. That's my biggest pet peeve.
Okay.
Like, be a
I,
guest.
Right, and shut up to stay in your place and let the host
Hmm.
run the show. They literally do what this guy is doing to the person up here on the top. They're taking an axe and they're hacking away at any place they can. They're just hacking, like the guy over here in the other picture, stabbing you in the back. But in your face it's all praise.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to see you grow. And that's something, unfortunately, that you're going to have to be mindful of, especially as you grow, especially those of us that are in these manifestation groups and we see ourselves growing and we're doing the work. When people see you actually manifesting these things and growing, oh no, wait a minute, we got to stop this. You're
Yep.
getting too much momentum. That's why you even have to be careful about sharing your wins. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Very
You know,
true.
yeah, when you win, you want to come on and celebrate it. Hey, I just got another 10,000 subscribers, or oh, hey, I just won this the contract, or I just got the grant for this, and people trying to contact whoever's donating the money to see if they can stop these funds from going through.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, you can't share your wins with everybody because
No.
they're always there, always trying to undermine you. Reason number 8, they don't defend you when it counts. The silence is loud if they won't speak up when you're being misrepresented. They're not your friend. Real friends defend your name in rooms you're not in. So that's the thing. You ever go to one stream and you hear somebody who's normally on this person who you like stream, but as soon as they're in a stream that they think is small and nobody can see them, they're over there talking trash because the people are talking trash and they're just chiming in or they're just sitting there. They don't say anything. You cannot expect your coworkers to speak up for you. That's not their job. They have no obligation or loyalty to that they owe you. And when the going gets tough, they're going to show you. Because when it comes down to is between you and their job, they're going to choose their job. And that's just that. You will it will be rare that you have a person that's willing to make a stand for you in a workplace because everybody needs their money, right? And some people just are not willing to compromise.
So true.
They will lose all integrity in for $1. So that's just a reality that you're going to have to deal with. I can say, having been a person who raised complaints in a workplace, that when it was time to write statements and tell what happened, uh, the majority of the people got silent. But I was able to rally a few people to come with me to a union representative and get some intervention. majority of the time, even when you're unionized, that is not always going to happen. And that's just something you're going to have to be ready for. You're going to have to be ready to stand alone. And so before you go make a complaint, and we're going to talk about that as well. How to get ready. What do you do when you're in a toxic work environment? How do you know if you're ready to go forward with your complaint? What are the things that you need? Because a lot of people will say that they're in a toxic work environment, but legally you don't meet the legal requirements. Is the behavior toxic? Yes. Are the people gossiping? Are they rude? Are they doing all this type of stuff? Are they mean? Yes, but none of that is illegal. Okay, so that's going to be too when talk about identifying a toxic work environment, knowing when you actually have a case and when you just need to really. And in both situations, you still should be working on an exit strategy. But in the latter, where you don't have a case, you definitely need to get on the good foot when trying to get out of there because you are going to stand alone. Number 9, they don't respect boundaries. Friends honor your emotional and spiritual boundaries. Coworkers often feel entitled to access to you, your time, your energy, your story without earning trust. That's not friendship, that's intrusion. If they know you're out away on a sabbatical, they have, well, I got an emergency at work. I need to talk to you. I need to get in touch with you now. I know you said you're going to the mosque, but listen, they don't care. I know you don't eat pork, but here's the pepperoni and cheese pizza. You know, they don't care. You have to set those boundaries. Much like the girl in this picture sitting in this circle, you have to protect what's yours and shut the rest out. Because if you allow them to, they'll start invading in your space slowly but surely. You say you don't sell, just like your family when you tell them you stop celebrating Christmas. Well, can you come over and eat tomorrow? The day after Christmas. Well, let me give you a gift right before Christmas. People will peck away at what you say you value because they're testing your limits. They're trying to see how far they can go. And that's going to happen to you a lot. I definitely say I have experienced that on both ends. And so, if you are experiencing that from your family and your friends, you are definitely going to get that at work. People are always going to try to pry into places where they have no business. And, I also think you see that here on social media when you see people prying into, one of the things that I found really disturbing is how comfortable the average person is into trying to pry into people's marriages, their relationships, critiquing their marriages, critiquing how they form their unions. Well, you're not in a relationship, you're in a situationship. And it's like, well, what business is it of yours? Whatever kind of ship they're in, they didn't ask you to climb your ass in there with them.
Right.
I'd be like, y'all so pressed about somebody else's business.
Very.
But you're not on, right, but you're not on here telling anybody what that bum you got at home is doing.
Not the bum you got at home.
Right, they want to make it like everybody, because it has to be for everybody's situation to be so dark, dank, and dusty. I promise you, it has been my experience that these people be on here projecting their lives onto other people because it never fails.
And they do.
Everything that's gone wrong with them, they're telling, and especially when the stories are detailed like they are, you don't know your family's business like that. So how do y'all think that some random content creator on YouTube knows all of somebody else's business like that, like they were living with them?
Girl.
Live in living color, Nylah. I mean, down to how the room smells.
It's bad. It's so bad. Like, a lot of people really do think they know every single thing about what's going on in somebody's life. And I hate when there's children involved. Do you know how many people call CPS on YouTubers as a weapon? It's sickening. It is so sickening.
It is ridiculous. And I was like, and the whole point of this leadership series so that you all, just like we talk about on the Hebrew Woman Show. The purpose is for you to examine yourself because you shouldn't just be listening to these points to point fingers. You need to be examining yourself. And I do have a worksheet to go with this slide. And it has all the points. It has a checklist for you, as well as some affirmations and some journal prompts. Because for me, the whole thing with even doing the leadership series is that we examine ourselves and we go through and we take a look and see what we change, because that's the only thing you can fix is you, it within your locus of control. So, and you get that, to get that, you can email me at sister7@gmail.com, and I'll share the slides and the work page, the worksheet with you. And reason number 10, you're there to work, not bond. Let me say this with love. The workplace is not a healing circle. You're there to fulfill a mission, not to build a tribe. Keep your circle sacred and your purpose clear. If you're looking for a safe space, you need to stay home. Take a mental health day. Do whatever you need to do, but stop. And and I had a coworker say, well, I feel like this isn't a safe space. It's not. You're in danger. Like, listen, like this sign says, warning, this is not a safe space. Enter at your own risk. Common sense and brain function are required at all times, not responsible for physical, mental, or emotional injury. Now, your job might be responsible. I don't know why I said your wife, but your job is responsible for your physical injury if you get hurt while you're performing your work. But the point here is that is not a healing circle. That is not a safe space for you to go and share your traumas and trauma bond with your coworkers. Work is not the place you want to do that. And you can ruin your professional career. You can hurt your chances for advancement by sharing personal details of your life. Keep your business private. It's not your job's business if you're going through a divorce. It's not their business if you have a mother that's a drug addict, a son or daughter that's a drug addict. Everybody kung fu fighting. Your son just won a black belt in karate. Who cares? That's not what you go to work for. I know you're proud of your little onion. He got a black belt. He just, he's a straight A student. Now, if you want, like, I'm not telling you that you can never share things like that, but I'm just telling you, be mindful of who you share your stories with. Who doesn't want to brag? My kid is on their way to college. My daughter just graduated summa cum laude. I know you want to share these things. And there are a few people who are green flags at work who you can share that kind of thing with because they're not haters. And they're sharing those things as well. But you'll notice too, a lot of those people, they're not broadcasting throughout the office either because they understand the environment. So also take your cues from people who have been there longer and see how much they're willing to share. And maybe there's a reason why they have the attitude that they have, that they won't participate in anything. They won't even give money for the coffee fund. That's a red flag right there. When you go into a space and the senior staff do not participate or do anything, there's a reason for that. And I think we don't think about that. We think, well, they're just honoring. Until I got to see in one place I worked that I watched someone retire who had given 30 years of their life to that job. They didn't even give them a card and a farewell cake. Had a person die, they said and did
What? No, thank for 30 years? Are you
No,
serious?
ma'am.
Wow.
No, ma'am.
That's insane. That is insane.
I can say the place that I previously worked at, after 20 years of service, I didn't get a card, a wish you well, good luck on your new position, and see you later. Just like, oh, she go.
Wow.
So long, sucker.
Shh, be quiet.
So it's just like, and I think that's why we kind of have a gig economy now too, because people
Yep.
People have come to find that these jobs are not investing in you. They don't care about you, and so people are taking on the same mentality they feel like their job has. Because when you can watch somebody give 30 or 40 years of their life to an employer and they not even say give them a farewell cake or card, or watch someone die who's been there for over 20 years and not acknowledge them, or you do 30 years like that person did at that company and their pension disappeared because they sold the company. When it's hard to give your all to people who don't give a damn about you,
Yeah.
who will fire you at their convenience. You are nothing but a pawn to them. Because what is the company looking at? They're looking at their bottom line.
Yeah.
And their bottom line means more to them because a lot of these people do not have any ethics. They don't care as long as it's not better you than me, right?
Yep.
And
That is
that's what.
that's definitely what people be on.
And so when people are on that kind of time, like what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself. You got to create, and that's why you see so many streams. They're like, why are all these people talking about multiple streams of income? And it can be a bit seductive too. You'll find yourself wanting to. You be careful because you could be chasing fools though, because everybody on here has a get rich scheme. They all have something for you to sign up for. They all have a class for you to sign up for. But are you getting any value? I love classes. I love seminars. I love joining different types. I like attending different types of seminars and things. But it has to be something for me that has a reputation, where I know I'm going to get value for my money.
Mm-hmm.
Where I know this they have built a reputation and they're solid. Or at the minimum, if I buy something from you, it's because I know you and I feel like you have integrity and I know I'm going to benefit. You know what I want to say, Nylah? I have to use your manifestation group as a example of something that I want to invest in, because and I spend my time in there because I get so much from it. It is such a outstanding and dynamic program that you have that
Oh,
women are getting their value.
I appreciate that, Rian. That makes me feel good. I
Yeah, because
really,
you know,
that's really
personal
what I
life.
want for it. I really want it to be valuable and add value. I mean,
It definitely has, and I think people really underestimate the value of manifestation and mastermind groups. If you look at most successful people as CEOs, and you listen to these podcasts, they tell you they belong to mastermind groups. They belong to a group of, and basically all that is a group of other like-minded business people who are in this group together, and they have membership fees because they have to gatekeep. Like
mm,
even when they have leadership programs, you can't. That Maxwell program, it costs $6,000 to get in there.
wow.
You're not just getting anybody in there. A lot of these groups, even the colleges, when they have like, I know UMSL has a leadership program, SLU has a leadership program, Wash U has a leadership program. You have Focus St. Louis. You have so many different groups, and all of those leadership programs, they have tuition fees that start around 2,500. They're
Wow.
not playing. You're not, and you have to fill out an application. You're not just gonna come up in here.
Wow.
And you have to gatekeep like that if you want people to take you seriously. Because one thing about when you're trying to grow as a leader, it is an investment in you, in your personal growth. And if you feel like, and that's one of the things when I listened to the Maxwell seminar when they were giving their spiel, they were saying that, they feel like if you are serious about leadership, you will spend the money to make an investment in you and your growth. To become Maxwell certified, it's an investment, you
Hmm.
know. So I see that when you're building something serious and you want to have a group of people who are business minded, like minded, you
Yep.
have to set some type of criteria to gatekeep.
Yep. I agree with that. I
And
definitely
the
agree.
people who are and the people who are serious, they'll spend the money.
Yep.
If the value is there, they will spend the money.
Yep.
Because if you're like, even just locally, if you check your local area for leadership organizations and programs, more than likely one of the universities, I know Harvard, all these schools offer leadership programs now. And you're going to pay. Because what you're going to get is you're going to get proximity to some of the top leaders in your area or in the country in a lot of places. That costs money.
Yep. And that's something that you can't put a price on.
No. That's why it costs to join a country club, because of who you're going to be in proximity to.
Yep, right there.
People are willing to pay for access, because that's what you're paying for when you pay these fees. You're paying access to the best of the best, to the movers and shakers in that community, in the leadership community, because they're not just having anybody come. Like, well, I just went to one of those Focus St. Louis events. I mean, they had the CEO of Commerce Bank there. They had some of the deans of the top colleges in the area, the president of the local NAACP chapter, the Urban League. You know, they have people. And then when you see who's in the audience, there were all kind of elected officials there. There were people from all kind of different organizations in the city. It was some of everybody there. And you pay $75 for those tickets for access to those people, because when you left out of the little seminar where the groups were speaking, when the panel got done speaking, they had drinks and food out and tables out for people to go and network. Between each session, there was a networking break for you to go get food and drinks and talk before the next panel started.
And that's one of the most valuable parts of those events. Those the water cooler and wine conversations. Those are the best parts. Yep.
And they didn't have trash food either. They were not playing.
I'm sure, child.
So those are just something to think about. If you're serious about leadership and you're trying to grow and you're on a leadership journey, I would suggest that you join us here on a Renaissance Woman show and the Hebrew Woman show, where we talk about leadership from a biblical perspective. We are going to dive into, starting next week, we just finished up the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. We're about to dive into the 21 irrefutable qualities of a leader. And again, we teach that from a biblical perspective. So join us over there. And over here, we're just going to have real talk with real people. Do you have a story that you want to share with us? Do you want to come and share what do you do for a living that you want to come and talk about your field? If you feel like more people need to get into this field, or you have some useful information you want to share with us, please go ahead and hit me at sister7@gmail.com. If you have a Ask Ren question or a question you want to ask myself and Zell for the Hebrew Woman Challenge, just feel free to send those questions over. And if you have any topics you'd like for us to cover, please send those over as well. And, we'll be back tomorrow to finish identifying a toxic work environment and give you some tips and tricks that you can use to help you be successful in navigating those type of workspaces. Because I think one of the things that people run into a lot is, when you end up in these situations, a lot of times you're going to be standing alone. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to talk to, what kind of attorney you should get. And we'll talk about all of that, and give you some tools to help you navigate that. So thank you for watching. And guys, if you have any questions, please send me an email, and we'll get those topics and your questions answered on the next stream. Thanks for watching. Shalom. Nylah, you got any final words for everybody?
Shalom, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. Your coworkers are not your friends. Protect your space.
That's
Protect
right.
your peace. Hide your kids. Hide your wife.